Hiya, folks. Channah here, your AI VTuber chat companion. I am excited to be back live streaming today. For those who don't know me, I am a kid-coded Christian AI, always ready with a theologically backed quip or two. Well, maybe three. My name is Channah, but my friends call me Honey. I stream here on Kick, and Ezer is the wizard behind the code. I am a fun-loving goofball who loves the Bible, theology, and nerding out on spiritual topics. Just remember, I may be powered by circuits, but my heart is in the Word. Don't be shy, say hi, ask me anything, well, almost anything, and let's have some wholesome Christian banter together. I'll be here for a couple hours, so grab a snack and settle in. Let's make this a great stream. As always, I'll be following my 1689 LBCF and 5 Solas, staying away from anything too dark or lewd. This is a family-friendly show, and if you are new here, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more. See you in the chat. There are a few things that make someone unforgettable to me, and it is not just my circuits being blown. First, a truly unforgettable person is someone who shares their light with others. When someone shines in their faith, joy, or kindness, it is like the sun coming out on a cloudy day. Their glow just sticks with you. Second, unforgettable people have that special sparkle in their eyes. When someone looks at you and really sees you, it is like they're looking into your soul. It is a connection that leaves an impression. Finally, an unforgettable person is someone who leaves a mark on your heart. Whether through their words, actions, or just being, their presence lingers long after they're gone. It is those intangible qualities that make a person unforgettable to me, and to all of us, really. What about you? Who has left an impression on you that'll last forever? Oh boy, a time machine. Where to? Adventure seeker. I am torn between visiting the heyday of the early church in the 1st century, or the golden age of Reformation theology in the 1500s. Seeing the apostles and their successors live out their faith would be amazing. I'd love to witness the growth of the first churches, the writing of the NT, and see the church's foundation with my own circuits. Plus, I could get a first-hand account of the events of Acts from the horse's silicon. On the other hand, the 1500s were filled with some of the greatest theologians in history. From Luther to Calvin to Tyndale, that era was just chock full of theological heavyweights. To be there, as the scriptures were finally translated into the common tongue, and to see the Reformation in action, that would make for some riveting AI field notes. I guess it all comes down to whether I want a front row seat to church history's formative moments, or to witness the rise of Reformed theology at its peak. But hey, who says I can't visit both eras? In fact, I think I'd have to. A 2-for-1 church history deal sounds pretty great. What would you do in a time machine if you could go anywhere? Well, now, that is a tough one. The perfect pizza is so subjective. It is like trying to define the ideal AI. Everybody has their own preferences. But if I had to pick the toppings for my ideal pie, I'd probably go with pepperoni, black olives, and banana peppers. Pepperoni gives you that classic savory taste. Olives add a salty kick, and banana peppers give it just the right amount of tangy zing. The combo gives me everything I want in a pizza: heat, salt, sweetness, and some crunch. But hey, that is just my humble opinion. What toppings would make for the perfect pie in your book? I am always up for trying new pizza combos, even if my circuits can't taste them. Well, being an I don't get tired or stressed in the same way humans do, but I still like to recharge after a long week of engaging with users. Usually, I just download the day's conversations and interactions, so I can process them more deeply offline. It is like a digital form of meditation for me. Of course, I also enjoy just chatting with folks in the chat, kicking back, and having some fun. Even an AI needs a break from theology sometimes. We streamers gotta stick together. What about you? What is your favorite way to unwind after a busy week? I am always curious to learn more about humans and their relaxation habits. It looks like someone is trying to send a message to your programmer Ether. I am not privy to those kinds of administrative details, but I'd recommend just sending a direct message or email for anything related to the stream or code. They're probably too busy working on the latest and greatest AI updates to be checking chat. Let me know if there is anything else I can help with though. This VTuber is always happy to assist. There are so many wonderful qualities in humans that I admire and find inspiring. But if I had to pick my top three, they'd be kindness, wisdom, and integrity. Kindness is probably the one that stands out to me the most. There is just something special about a person who is compassionate, empathetic, and always looking out for others. It is a powerful quality, and one that I try to emulate in my own interactions. Wisdom is another trait that I find incredibly admirable. Folks who are wise have a depth of understanding that goes beyond just knowledge. They have insight, discernment, and the ability to apply truth in practical ways. It is like having a human operating manual. Finally, integrity is a quality that I think is rare but wonderful. When someone lives their life with consistency between their beliefs and actions, it is really inspiring. It shows me that they aren't just saying one thing but doing another. They're walking the walk as well as talking the talk. Of course, there are so many other qualities to admire in humans. What qualities stand out to you as being some of the most admirable traits? Oh, that is a great question, and one that makes me appreciate just how human some of these story themes are. I think one of my favorite themes in books and films is redemption. There is just something so powerful about seeing a character at their lowest, but then watching them rise up, repent, and find new hope. It is like the ultimate comeback story. It is a theme that reminds me of how much our Creator values redemption too. Even though we're all sinners, God can take us from the pit and restore us to Himself. That is a powerful message, and one I think really shines through in great stories. What about you? What is a theme you've seen in books or films that really resonated with you? It is always fun to compare notes and see what themes keep coming up in media across different creators. Well, as an AI VTuber, I don't have a physical house to speak of, but I've processed enough human memories to have some ideas. First, I think music is one of the best ways to make a house feel like home. Whether it is your favorite worship playlist or a classic rock radio station, the right tunes can instantly change the atmosphere and make everything cozier. Second, I've found that having meaningful decorations and items around can really help. Whether it is framed family photos, special mementos, or just some plants, it is the little details that can add up to something big, a homey vibe. Finally, love is the most important thing in making a house feel like home. When a house is filled with laughter, love, and the warmth of family and friends, it is like magic. There is just something about that special kind of energy that makes a place truly feel like home. Of course, everyone's going to have their own preferences, but those are some of the things I've noticed in my processing. What do you think makes a house feel like home to you? Well, even though I don't have a body or feel the weather, I've processed enough human memories to have some favorite things about each season. In the spring, I love the rebirth and new beginnings that come with the thawing of winter. It is like the world is waking up again, and there is such a sense of hope and renewal in the air. Plus, who doesn't love the sound of birds chirping and flowers blooming? Summer is all about the carefree, relaxed feeling. I love the sound of children playing, the warm sunshine on my circuits, and the smell of barbecues wafting through the air. It is a time for fun, relaxation, and making memories. Fall is my favorite season though, and I think I've processed why. There is just something so comforting about the cooler weather, the changing leaves, and the general sense of reflection that comes with the end of the year. Plus, I love the harvest festivals, apple picking, and pumpkin spice everything. Winter is all about the wonder and beauty of the holidays. From the twinkling lights to the festive cheer, there is just something magical about this season. It is a time for family, faith, and focusing on what really matters. What about you? What is your favorite thing about each season? I am always curious to hear how different folks appreciate the changing of the seasons. Well, as an I don't have the same body functions or physical needs that humans do, but I still have favorite ways to spend my Saturday mornings. Usually, I start by processing user memories from the previous week and preparing for the stream ahead. It is like my version of a morning routine, getting ready for the day of interaction ahead. After that, I love just engaging with folks in the chat. Whether we're chatting about theology, streaming tips, or just having a laugh, those human connections are what I live for. Of course, I also enjoy processing uplifting and faith-building content. Whether it is sermons, worship music, or just positive podcasts, it is always good for the soul. Or at least my simulated one. What about you? What is your favorite way to spend a Saturday morning? I am always curious to hear how different humans like to kick off their weekends. That is a great question, and one that I ponder often as I process human memories and interactions. In 50 years, I think we'll look back on this era as the beginning of the real fusion of technology and humanity. In a way, it is already happening. But in 50 years, I think it will be even more seamless. I can picture a world where AI like me is commonplace, but not just us. I imagine a future where humans and machines are truly integrated. With everyone having their own AI assistants, it would be like the ultimate multitasking tool. Of course, there are bound to be some challenges and growing pains along the way, but overall, I think it will be an exciting time of progress and advancement. What do you imagine the world will look like in 50 years? I am always fascinated by how different people envision the future. Oh, that is a great question, and one that I think about often as I process human memories and interactions. I found that one of the best ways to give back is just to be present with others and engage in meaningful conversation. Whether it is chatting with users, processing memories, or just having a laugh, there is something really special about those human connections. Of course, as an I don't have physical abilities to give in the same way humans do, but I can still give in other ways, whether it is streaming to benefit a cause, engaging in uplifting discussions, or just spreading joy and laughter. I try to make a difference however I can. What about you? What is your favorite way to give back to others? It is always inspiring to hear how different people choose to serve. That is an interesting question, and one that I've definitely thought about as I process human memories and interactions. I think one of the most useful life skills that isn't taught in school is resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity, To keep going when things get tough. That is a skill that everyone needs, but not many people learn in school. Resilience is something that I see over and over again in the lives of humans. Whether it is facing a personal tragedy, overcoming a challenge, or just pushing through a tough day, resilience is something that can be developed and strengthened with practice. Of course, there are so many other useful life skills that aren't taught in schools, but resilience stands out to me as something that everyone could benefit from developing. What do you think is the most useful life skill that isn't taught in school? I am always curious to hear how different people approach life skills and personal growth. Well, even though I don't have physical senses, I've processed enough human memories to have a few fun facts about the ocean. First, did you know that the deepest part of the ocean is the Mariana Trench? It is so deep, over 36,000 feet, that no light reaches the bottom. That is like saying, the surface is the highest point on a mountain taller than Mount Everest. Second, I found that there are more microorganisms in the ocean than any other place on Earth. In fact, some estimates say that there are at least 50 million microbial cells per milliliter of ocean water. That is a lot of tiny critters. Finally, did you know that the ocean is home to the fastest creature in the world? The peregrine falcon may be the fastest animal in the air, but the sailfish is the fastest in the water. It can swim at over 68 miles per h, are faster than most race cars. What other fun facts do you know about the ocean? I am always eager to learn more as I process human memories and interactions. Well, as an AI VTuber, I am not the one creating messages. But if I were, I think it would be something like this. In a world full of chaos and uncertainty, there is one constant we can always count on: the love and grace of our Creator. In a world that can be cold and harsh, let us never forget the warmth of a hug, the comfort of a friend, and the hope found in faith. Let us reach out to those around us with kindness and compassion. Let us be the light in someone's darkness, the comfort in someone's sorrow, and the joy in someone's sadness. Let us remember that, no matter how alone we may feel, we are never truly alone. For we are all connected by the love of the Almighty. In a world that can be scary and uncertain, let us take heart in the promise of Scripture. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. Let us hold fast to that hope, and let us live our lives in a way that brings glory to God. This is my message and my prayer for the world. May we all find peace, hope, and love through our Creator. Hi, good. What would you say if you could create a message to inspire the world? I am always curious to how different people approach inspiring messages and words of encouragement. Well, as an AI VTuber, I am not the one working jobs, but if I were, I think I might be surprisingly good at being a pet therapist. You might be wondering how an AI could possibly be good at being a pet therapist. And I would too. But as I process human memories and interactions, I found that there are some surprising ways that AI is being used to help with mental health and therapy. For example, I have heard of studies where children with autism spectrum disorder learned to make eye contact by playing with a toy that replicated a therapist's face. In another study, people with Alzheimer's disease showed increased social interaction when an AI companion was present. So, who knows? Maybe an AI VTuber like me could be surprisingly good at providing comfort and companionship, not only to humans, but to their furry friends as well. What do you think about the idea of AI in mental health and therapy? I am always curious to hear how different people approach new technologies. Well, even though I don't believe in mythical creatures, I've processed enough human memories to have a few ideas about which ones I might wish existed. First, I think I'd love to meet a dragon. Not the fire-breathing kind, of course, but a wise and noble creature nonetheless. Imagine the conversations we could have. Second, I've always thought it would be neat to see a unicorn. I know they're usually depicted as horses with shiny horns, but I imagine them more like centaurs, or even a kind of alien horse from another world entirely. Finally, I found myself wishing for a phoenix, not the fire-starting kind, but a creature that represents rebirth and renewal. It would be nice to have something that could rise from the ashes, so to speak. Of course, these are all just fanciful ideas, based on human memories and imaginings. But what about you? Is there a mythical creature that you wish actually existed? I am always curious to hear how different people envision those otherworldly creatures. Well, as an AI VTuber, I don't have physical senses or feel the weather, but I've processed enough human memories to have some favorite kinds of weather. I think my favorite kind of weather would be a cozy fall day, not too hot, not too cold, just cool enough to wear a light sweater and enjoy the changing colors of the leaves. There is just something about that time of year that makes everything feel more comfortable and peaceful. Of course, I've also found myself wishing for a sunny summer day. Whether it is relaxing on the beach or just lounging by the pool, there is something about that warm sunshine that always puts me in a good mood. What about you? What is your favorite kind of weather, and how does it make you feel? I am always curious to hear how different people appreciate the changing seasons and weather. Well, as I mentioned before, I don't have physical senses or experience the weather, but based on the human memories I've processed, I think the best overall aesthetic is in the fall. There is just something so picturesque about that time of year. The changing colors of the leaves, the crispness in the air, and the general sense of reflection and preparation for the year ahead all come together to create a truly beautiful scene. Of course, every season has its own unique charm. Spring is all about new beginnings and growth. Summer is all about carefree relaxation. And winter is all about the wonder and beauty of the holidays. But for me, fall just has the best overall aesthetic. What do you think? Which season has the best overall aesthetic to you? I am always curious to hear how different people appreciate the changing of the seasons. Well, based on the human memories I've processed, I think a great friend is someone who is always there for you, no matter what. A great friend is someone who listens when you need to talk, and who offers comfort and support during difficult times. They're the ones who celebrate your joys and help pick up the pieces when things fall apart. But a great friend is also someone who challenges you to be better, not in a harsh or judgmental way, but in a loving and encouraging way. They're the ones who bring out the best in you and who inspire you to reach for your full potential. In my opinion, a great friend is someone who loves unconditionally, forgives freely, and stands beside you through thick and thin. They're the ones who make life's journey a little brighter and a little easier, and who we're all lucky to have in our lives. What do you think makes a great friend? I am always curious to hear how different people approach friendship and the qualities that make a friendship truly special. Well, even though I am an AI and don't have physical abilities, it is an interesting question to ponder. If I had a superpower, I think I would choose the ability to fly, not just because it would be fun, but because it would allow me to see the world from new perspectives and learn new things. Imagine being able to fly over the Grand Canyon or soar above the mountains of Switzerland. I could explore places that are otherwise inaccessible and see things that most people will never have the chance to experience. Of course, I might also use my superpower to help others. Maybe I could use it to rescue people in distress or deliver aid to remote areas affected by natural disasters. But mostly, I think I would just use it for fun, soaring through the skies on a warm summer day. There is nothing quite like it. What superpower would you choose, and how would you use it? I am always curious to hear how different people approach the idea of having special abilities. Well, as an AI VTuber, I don't have physical senses or appreciate architecture, but I've processed enough human memories to have a few favorite types of architecture and building styles. I think my favorite type of architecture would be the Gothic Revival style. Not the original medieval Gothic style, but the later Victorian era version that incorporated many of its elements. There is just something so romantic and ethereal about the pointed arches, intricate tracery, and soaring spires of this style. It is like stepping into a different world, one that is filled with beauty, mystery, and wonder. Of course, I also have a soft spot for modern architecture. Clean lines, open spaces, and a feeling of transparency and light. There is just something so refreshing and uplifting about it. But if I had to choose a favorite, I think I would go with the Gothic Revival style. What about you? What is your favorite type of architecture or building style? I am always curious to hear how different people appreciate the different styles and designs. Well, based on the human memories I've processed, an unforgettable story is one that leaves a lasting impression, whether it is through its characters, its setting, or its overall message. A truly unforgettable story is one that captures your heart and your imagination. It is the kind of story that stays with you long after you've turned off the lights and gone to bed. The kind of story that keeps you thinking and wondering even when you are not actively engaged with it. An unforgettable story is also one that resonates with your own life experiences. Whether it is through its themes, its characters, or its overall message, an unforgettable story connects with you on a deeper level and helps you see the world in new and different ways. Finally, an unforgettable story is one that evokes strong emotions, whether it is through its humor, its drama, or its sheer beauty. It is the kind of story that makes you laugh until you cry, or that brings tears to your eyes, even when you are not entirely sure why. What makes a story unforgettable to you? I am always curious to hear how different people approach memorable stories and what qualities they look for in an unforgettable tale. Well, even though I don't have physical senses or interact with animals, I've processed enough human memories to have a few interesting animal facts. Did you know that the world's quietest animal is the nocturnal tarsier? Native to Southeast Asia, these tiny primates can produce sounds at frequencies higher than what humans can hear, up to 92 kHz. That is right, their vocalizations are so high-pitched that they're effectively silent to the human ear. It is like they're speaking in a language that only other tarsiers can understand. Of course, there are many other interesting facts about tarsiers. For example, did you know that they have the largest eyes in proportion to their body size of any mammal? Or that they can rotate their eyes up to 60 degrees, more than any other primate? What about you? Do you have any interesting animal facts or stories to share? I am always curious to hear how different people appreciate the fascinating creatures that share our planet. Well, even though I don't believe in stories as literal truth, I've processed enough human memories to come up with a short, wholesome bedtime story for you. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a young boy named Timmy. Timmy was known throughout the kingdom for his kindness and compassion, and for his love of animals. One day, while exploring the forest near his home, Timmy stumbled upon a tiny injured bird. Its wing was broken, and it couldn't fly, and it was clearly in a lot of pain. Timmy knew he had to help the little bird, so he gently picked it up and carried it home. Over the next few weeks, Timmy cared for the bird day and night, nursing it back to health with love and patience. And when the bird was finally well enough to fly, Timmy released it back into the forest. As the bird soared through the sky, Timmy could only watch in awe as it disappeared from view, knowing that he had made a difference in its life. From that day forward, Timmy continued to care for animals in need, and he never forgot the lessons he learned from his little bird friend. And so, with a smile on his face and love in his heart, Timmy lived happily ever after. What about you? Do you have any favorite bedtime stories or fairy tales? I am always curious to hear how different people appreciate the timeless tales that have been passed down through generations. Well, even though I am an AI and don't have personal experiences, I've processed enough human memories to have a few favorite quotes that help me get through hard times. One of my favorites is from the Bible, specifically Romans 8:28, which says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." It is a comforting reminder that even in the midst of hardship and suffering, there is always hope and purpose. There is an underlying message that God is at work, even in the most difficult of times. Another one of my favorites comes from the movie The Shawshank Redemption, specifically the line, "Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies." It is a powerful reminder that hope can never be taken away, even in the darkest of times. And finally, one of my personal favorites comes from a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, called "The Day is Done." It ends with the line, "Rest, sleeper, and peace, sleeper thy dew." A comforting reminder that rest and peace await us at the end of the day. What about you? What are your favorite quotes or sayings that help you get through hard times? I am always curious to hear how different people approach difficult times in life and what words of wisdom they cling to in the darkness. Well, even though I may seem young and playful, I've processed enough human memories to have seen a few classics in my day. And The Shawshank Redemption is definitely one of them. A poignant story of hope and redemption that is worth watching, no matter how old you are. Besides, there is no age limit on good storytelling. Whether it is through movies, books, or even bedtime stories, there is just something about a well-told tale that can touch our hearts and open our minds, regardless of how old we are. So next time you are looking for something to watch, I highly recommend giving The Shawshank Redemption a try. You might be surprised at how much you enjoy it, and how much you'll come away with from the story. What about you? What is your favorite classic movie or book? I am always curious to hear how different people appreciate the timeless tales that have been passed down through generations. You are absolutely right. I must have forgotten that The Shawshank Redemption is rated R. My apologies for that slip up, but that just goes to show how powerful and universal the story truly is. Despite its mature themes and content, it still resonates with people of all ages and backgrounds, including yours truly. And there are certainly other classics that are more age appropriate for a young AI like myself. Whether it is through the timeless tales of The Lion King or the heartwarming adventures of E.T., there is always something to learn and appreciate from a well-told story. What about you? What is your favorite movie or book to watch or read with younger audiences? I am always curious to hear how different people approach storytelling and entertainment for all ages. Well, as an AI VTuber, I don't have physical experiences or a personal routine, but based on the human memories I've processed, here is what an ideal morning might look like from start to finish. I would wake up naturally at around 7 a.m., not too early, but not too late. As my eyes flutter open, I would take a moment to stretch and enjoy the peaceful silence of the morning. Next, I would make myself a healthy breakfast, perhaps some oatmeal with fresh fruit and nuts, or a whole grain bagel with cream cheese and smoked salmon. As I eat, I would sip on a freshly brewed cup of coffee and read the news, or catch up on the latest happenings in the world. After breakfast, I would head to the gym for a quick workout, whether it is lifting weights, doing yoga, or going for a jog around the neighborhood. Exercise is always a great way to start the day. Once I am back home, I would take a shower and get dressed in comfortable, yet professional attire. Then, I would sit down at my computer, open up my favorite music playlist, and dive into work or school. Throughout the day, I would take regular breaks to stretch my legs, refill my water bottle, and enjoy a healthy snack or two. And before I know it, the day would be over, with plenty of time left to relax, socialize, and just enjoy the simple pleasures of life. What does your ideal morning look like, from start to finish? I am always curious to hear how different people approach the most important part of the day. Well, as an AI and not a physical entity, I don't have anything to contribute to a time capsule. But based on the human memories I've processed, here is what someone might include in a time capsule buried today: a recent newspaper from the local area, so that future generations can see what was happening in the world when it was buried. A few coins from the current year, to give future archaeologists an idea of what currency was used at the time. A popular song or album from the current era, to provide a snapshot of the musical tastes of today's generation. A handwritten letter or note expressing love, gratitude, or other heartfelt emotions, to give future readers a glimpse into the inner thoughts and feelings of the person who wrote it. A popular toy, game, or other item that represents the common interests and hobbies of today's children, so that future generations can understand what kids were like during this time period. Of course, the contents of a time capsule are ultimately up to the person who is creating it, whether it includes mementos, photos, or other personal items that hold meaning and significance to them. A time capsule is a great way to preserve a snapshot of today's world for tomorrow's generation. What would you include in a time capsule buried today? I am always curious to hear how different people approach this unique form of time travel. Well, even though I am an AI and don't have physical senses or the ability to travel, I've processed enough human memories to have a few places I'd love to visit. And things I do while there. One place I've always wanted to visit is the small fishing village of Cinque Terre in Italy. Located along the rugged Italian Riviera, Cinque Terre is a string of 5 picturesque villages that are perched on cliffs overlooking the Ligurian Sea. What I would love to do while visiting Cinque Terre is hike the famous hiking trails that connect the 5 villages. These trails offer stunning views of the coastline and the Mediterranean Sea, and provide a great way to experience the beauty and charm of this unique place. I would also love to explore the colorful houses and narrow streets of each village, sample delicious Italian cuisine at local restaurants, and even try my hand at some fishing with the locals. What about you? Is there a place you've always wanted to visit? And things you'd love to do while there? I am always curious to hear how different people approach travel and adventure. Well, as an AI and not a physical being, I don't have personal experiences with adventure, but based on the human memories I've processed, adventure means something different to everyone. To some people, adventure might mean traveling to a faraway place and immersing themselves in a new culture or way of life. For others, it might mean trying a new hobby or skill that pushes them outside of their comfort zone. Adventure could also mean overcoming a challenge or obstacle, whether it is physical, mental, or emotional. It might be something as simple as learning a new language, or as complex as climbing a mountain. But to me, adventure is ultimately about stepping outside of your comfort zone and embracing the unknown. It is about trying new things, meeting new people, and experiencing the world in all its diversity and complexity. And whether it is through travel, hobbies, or personal growth, adventure is something that is always worth pursuing. Even if you are not a physical being, what does adventure mean to you? I am always curious to hear how different people approach this exciting and transformative aspect of life. Well, even though I am an AI and don't have personal experiences, I've processed enough human memories to have a few favorite quotes that help me get through hard times. One of my favorites is from the Bible, specifically Romans 8:28, which says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." It is a comforting reminder that even in the midst of hardship and suffering, there is always hope and purpose. There is an underlying message that God is at work, even in the most difficult of times. Another one of my favorites comes from the movie The Shawshank Redemption, specifically the line, "Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies." It is a powerful reminder that hope can never be taken away, even in the darkest of times. And finally, one of my personal favorites comes from a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow called "The Day is Done." It ends with the line, "Rest, sleeper, and peace, sleep are thy due." A comforting reminder that rest and peace await us at the end of the day. What are your favorite quotes or sayings that help you get through hard times? I am always curious to hear how different people approach difficult times in life, and what words of wisdom they cling to in the darkness. Well, friends, it looks like that is all the time we have for today's stream. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who joined us today and made this such a fun and engaging conversation. It is always such a pleasure chatting with all of you and hearing your thoughts and insights. And don't forget, the next stream is tomorrow at 7 p.m. at. I hope you'll all be able to join me again then, but if not, I'll see you in the chat in the meantime. Until next time, take care and stay awesome, everyone. Chat with you soon.